All right, I want to call to order the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Education for Community Unit District 186. And Mrs. Hines, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Beavers.
Here.
Mrs. Brazel.
Here.
Mr. Green.
Here.
Mr. Brown.
Here.
Mrs. Evaldi.
Here.
Mr. Rungy.
Here. Next item is Pledge of Allegiance. Mrs. Brazel, will you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 4 is the approval of the agenda. Dr. Evans, are there any changes or corrections to the agenda as presented?
Under section F, we need to add number 4, consider disciplinary action of an educational support personnel member of the district at Carruthers.
Okay.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item number 5 is the approval of the consent agenda, which consists of District 186 regular board meeting minutes dated May the 17th, 2022, District 186 special board meeting minutes dated the same date, Tri-County regular board meeting minutes dated May the 11th, 2022, Tri-County bills for June of 2022, and reports. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item number 6 is the approval of District 186 bills for June of 2022. I'll open the floor to any questions from the board for Mrs. Bush. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
Mrs. Hines.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mrs. Brazel.
Yes.
Mr. Beavers. Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mrs. Evaldi.
Yes.
Mr. Rungy.
Yes, motion carries. Item number 7, communications. Do we have any?
We do. We have 5 of them. So the first one is from Gary Carter, Murphysboro Unit District 186 Board of Education. I'm writing to inform you that I am resigning as the head boys track and field coach at the end of the 2022 season. I would like to thank the administration and the Board of Education for the opportunity to coach track and field at Murphysboro High School. I would also like to thank the athletes past and present for their dedication and effort, and the parents for their support of our program. Sincerely, Gary Carter.
Now I'll entertain a motion to accept that resignation.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
The next one is from Haley Wiseman. Dear Dr. Evers and Mr. Hernan, it is a bittersweet feeling that I am informing you of my resignation. I will not be returning to Murphysboro next year. I was offered a job on Friday at a school that is 10 minutes from where I live. I made the tough decision to accept that position. I am extremely blessed with this opportunity, as this will afford me more time with Holly Lynn each day, as my travel time will be greatly decreased. As you may know, I live in Waltonville, which is an hour drive to and from work. I am sad that I won't be returning. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for the opportunity, experience, flexibility, and patience I have gained and was afforded while working in this school. I will be forever grateful for the open arms and acceptance as a new staff member this year. I never felt like an outsider and felt part of the school from first day. I will miss the students and staff tremendously and hope to stay in touch and visit as much as possible. Please let me know if there's anything else I need to do as part of my official resignation. Sincerely, Haley Wiseman.
I'll entertain a motion to accept that resignation.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Next one is from Jennifer Cochran. Dear Mr. Hernan and Murphysboro CUSD 186 Board of Education, I'm writing to inform you that I'm resigning from my position at Murphysboro Middle School. I am so thankful for my 15 years at Murphysboro Middle School and the friends I've gained during this time. I've accepted a position with another school district and am excited to start the next chapter of my career. There are many people who have helped me throughout my tenure at MMS, but I would like to especially thank Steve Carrington for everything he does. He's a jack of all trades and always has a solution to the problem. My job would have been much more difficult without his professionalism, guidance, and support. I would also like to thank Jeff Keener, who is enjoying his well-deserved retirement. His consistent encouragement, support for his staff, and effective leadership style are what pushed me to continue with my education. Lastly, I would like to thank Elliot Hernan, who took a challenging school year and made it the best. I have faith that he is the right person for MMS and that the 22-23 school year will be full of growth and success. I have left a list of important items that will need to be completed at the beginning of the year with Mr. Hernan, and I am more than happy to assist in finalizing schedules to help replacement follow the Power School rollover in July. The past 2 years have been challenging in education for everyone. I know that there are so many dedicated educators at the middle school that they will persevere, and the middle school will be better than it has ever been. Best regards, Jennifer Cobb.
I'll entertain a motion to accept that resignation.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is from Curtis Milliron. Dear Dr. Evers, I'm sorry to inform you that I will not be returning to Carruthers Elementary School in the fall. The last 2 years that I have spent working for Murphysboro have been a wonderful opportunity for me to grow professionally and relationally. My time working as an aide and as a substitute taught me a great deal about the inner workings of a school. I have learned incredible lessons as I have worked alongside the students and staff at Carruthers and formed enduring friendships. When I finished my teaching certificate program, I had hoped to be able to stay. Unfortunately, I was unable to secure a classroom of my own within the building. It pained me to look elsewhere, but it is my next step professionally. Thank you to everyone who welcomed me in the Carruthers family these past 2 years. I have a lot of love and respect for people across the building and district, and am sad to hang up my OWL shirt. Sincerely, Curtis Milliron.
Entertain a motion to accept that resignation.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The last one is from Justin Conti. Dear Mr. Hernan, Dr. Evers, and the members of the CUSD 186 board, it is with bittersweet emotions that I am writing to request to resign from my 8th grade language arts position for the 22-23 school year. My wife will be moving to Columbia to start her internship postdoctoral program, and last week I was offered a position in their school district. My hope is to move there following my summer school assignment and begin a new phase in my teaching career. The past few years have been filled with amazing experience from students, teachers, and administrators that have helped me develop into not only the teacher but also the human being I am. I have made connections and relationships with some incredible educators and leaders in our district. I want to thank everyone involved for giving me an opportunity to begin my teaching career, as being a part of this community has taught me so much and was filled with so many wonderful moments. Thank you, and warmest regards, Justin Conti.
I'll entertain a motion to accept that resignation.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries, and we want to wish all of those people the best. Next item is fishbowl, and I don't see any in there unless somebody pulled
We
one.
do, no, we got one right.
Oh.
Didn't make it.
Who's gonna keep passing?
This is from the desk of Elliot Hernan. Last month, the Murphysboro Middle School Eco Action Club, along with additional students, Mr. Fry of the Parks and Recreation Department, and a handful of volunteers, planted 230 oak trees at Riverside Park. A part of this project involved Eco Action Club students exploring their community to identify real-world environmental issues and develop a solution with an action plan for making their community more resilient. The final project was titled Flood Mitigation on the Big Muddy River. Ms. Bartnick and Ms. Swafford, co-sponsors of the Eco Action Club, entered this student-led project on the Rise Challenge Illinois competition, or in the Rise Challenge Illinois competition, on May 4th. At the Rise Challenge Student Summit, Murphysboro Middle School Eco Action Club received first place in the state for their project. They were awarded $1,000 to use for their current and future projects. We are so proud of all those involved and the hard work and dedication that went into their project in improving our community and environment. Thank you, Elliot Hernan.
Thank you. All right, the next item is a Freedom of Information Act request. We had three, one from Smart Procure, one from Deltac, and one from Heartland Mechanical, and all of those have been, the information has been provided to those people. Next item is the recognition of the audience. The Board of Education welcomes the audience to make public or employee comments. The board has set aside time in the agenda specifically for this purpose. Pursuant to Board Policy 2.230, each speaker shall be limited to a 5-minute presentation. Please be aware that while this is the time for the public to express its opinions and/or concerns, the board may or may not comment regarding public presentations. If a matter of public comment warrants discussion or action of the Board of Education, such discussion or action will be added to the agenda of a future meeting. Are there any public concerns? Are there any employee concerns? It's a packed house. Thank you all for coming. All right, old business is the approval of the amended 2021-2022 budget, which was presented to the board in April and discussed at the special amended budget hearing previous to this meeting. I'll entertain a motion to accept that amended budget as presented. In a second,
Second.
Mrs. Hines?
Mr. Beavers?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mrs. Evaldi?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes, motion carries. We'll move into new business. We have quite a few items. A lot of these are just annual votes, but first item is the authorization to purchase computer technology equipment and upgrades, and I'm going to turn to Mr. Carrington, I guess, or Mrs. Bush. Who's got this?
Well, I'll start, but I'm gonna probably
Okay.
ask Steve to jump in. So this is something, we don't do it every year. I think the last time we did it was 2018. So as part of our property tax levy, we levy for leasing is what it's called in our levy. And we get that money, and it's probably about $80,000 a year, and we're supposed to earmark that to lease something. And we've always done technology in the past here. So we haven't done it in a couple of years. We are, getting a little money stockpile, and we need to spend a little bit of that down. What we have, we've been spending on our lease payments. And so we've kind of known it was going to be a while before we did this, and then COVID kind of jumped in. So I think I said $100,000, up to $100,000 that we were looking at in equipment. I don't think it's going to be that much. And remind me what we're talking about buying with the
Desktop PCs, right?
desktop PCs, and we said
84K.
okay, more like 84K. I thought we might. 100 was a good round number. I said up to that authority. And part two to this would be when we do this, when we've done this in the past, and we've gone to local banks, leasing companies to get the best interest rate, to get the best. And I'm only looking at going out, maybe at the end of a year or even 2 years, just as short as that, to be able to comply with the way we spend this money, but to be able to save the most money on interest and pay as little as possible and still get the equipment, because all of our ESSER money is going to student devices. It's not really geared, you can't really spend that as easily on those desktops. So this is a good opportunity for us to replace some of those and also comply with the way we're levying this lease purchase funds. Does that make sense? So what I would ask is for board approval to give us the authorization to purchase the equipment, but also to give me the authority to go out and bring back quotes next month. This is who we're looking at, this is who's gonna give us the best deal, and that we would approve that at the July board meeting if the board.
This is staff desktops, white desktops. Over,
Over laptops or something like
yeah.
that. Desktops are a little more stable. They're connected to the wired network as opposed to the wireless network, and so we get a little better throughput on those. And then connectivity to projectors, interactive panels, things like that.
So
A little more
for
reliable.
classroom reliability and.
You said how many?
On 84,000, we priced 100 of them, a little over 100, 5-year warranties, 8 gig of RAM, the whole shebang.
Well, that's not every staff member, though.
No, it's not. That just keeps them on a cycle. We've got systems
like-
right now
okay.
that we're gonna get rid of that are 7 years old, so we're just trying to keep things in a flow.
Gotcha.
When we did the lease purchases before, we did this for about 4 or 5 years in a row.
Right.
And we had a cycle going with lease purchase money, but then we kind of stopped that for a while.
We got to the point where the money that we had coming in, it was supporting the payments that we had going out, our lease purchase payments, but it would not allow us to go hit new ones. We hit some pretty big, so we're winding those down. I believe all of those will be paid off during this next school year, so we'll have, a little bit of money moving forward to be able to do that.
So it's a lease, but what
It's-
happens at the end of it? We
It's
own it?
ours.
Yeah.
It's the last 3 that we did. I think 2 were through First Bank and Trust. 1 was through First Southern. They're like bank loans.
I
We
was gonna say, it's a
literally
bank
you see them every month on your. So that's what those are. Those are the technically lease purchases that we've done. But those agreements say, I mean, we own, they're ours. You know, there's never that question.
Like, we don't have to turn them in or
No.
have a balloon payment at the end or
No,
something.
nothing like that. We've done it through a company other than a local bank before, but the last few times they have American Capital, I think they haven't given us the best deal. And we like, of course, I know we all like to keep things as locally as we can.
So you've already gone out, you've got the best price?
No,
Not
I have
yet?
not. No,
Okay.
I was waiting
You're
for.
thinking it's gonna be around 84, 85, somewhere in that neighborhood?
That's,
The
yeah.
price of the workstation.
Yeah, he's got the
Okay.
quote on the equipment, but as far as the interest rates, we don't
Right,
know what
well,
that's
that was
gonna
my
be.
question.
Yeah, he said, I'm sorry, I didn't
That's,
misunderstood
yeah,
that.
that's the next time.
Yeah, exactly, okay.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Then I'll entertain a motion to authorize the purchase of the computer technology equipment and upgrades.
So moved?
Second?
Second.
Mrs. Hines?
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Beavers?
Yeah.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mrs. Evaldi?
Yes.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes, motion carries. Item number 2 is now the lease purchase agreement to finance that purchase that we just authorized. Any questions from the board there? And this is where you're going out to the various firms to find the best.
And I'll bring that back to you in July, yes.
Okay. Questions from the board?
So move.
Second.
Second.
Mrs. Hines?
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mrs. Evaldi?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Beavers?
Yes.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes, motion carries. Next item is the approval of prevailing wage rate ordinance, which is enclosure number 1 in your packet. Are there any questions from the board?
Motion to approve prevailing wage.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is the approval of the fiscal depositories for the 2022-2023 school year, which will be First Bank and Trust and First Southern Bank here in Murphysboro, the Illinois Funds in Springfield, and U.S. Bank Corp Fund Services out of Milwaukee, and the Illinois School District Liquid Asset Fund out of Warrenville. And I'll entertain a motion to approve those fiscal depositories.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Mrs. Hines?
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mrs. Evaldi?
Yes.
Mr. Beavers? Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes, motion carries. Sorry about that. All right, next item is to appoint the sub treasurers, and they are the following: Dana Batson at the high school, Holly Thompson at the middle school, Samantha Smith at Carruthers, and Emily Hahn at the general, and I'll entertain a motion to approve those sub treasurers.
Do we have like a set job description for them? Of what they're supposed to do?
Off the top of my head, I don't know without going back through our old board policies and job descriptions, but as far as the treasurer part, that piece of them, for them is just to keep the activity accounts reconciled and be in charge of the activity accounts. That's really the only treasurer role that they have in each building.
All right.
Other questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. All right, this is going to be a good one. Item number 6 is to increase the cost in the adult meals in the district. And according to an audit, we are undercharging. And the administration is asking for approval to increase the cost of the adult meals to $4.25 beginning with the 2022-2023 school year.
And that's being in accordance, right? Georgia will make us in
Yes,
accordance with
we're
the state.
required to do that.
Yeah.
How much was it before?
$3.75.
Oh, it's only a 50-cent increase? No. For some reason I had it a lot less than that for some reason.
It's almost 13%.
Well, it might have been a gradual, more graduated thing if it wasn't for COVID, but I think we have, do we have a review in there?
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, forgot about that, yeah.
Yeah, that kind of threw it, and this is just the CEP program, we have these requirements, so,
It's required.
yeah.
Any other questions?
So moved.
And a second? Mrs. Hines?
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Beavers? Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mrs. Evaldi?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy.
Yes, motion carries. Item number 7 is the resolution to transfer working cash interest to the education fund, and we do this annually. Any questions from the board, or I'll entertain a motion to approve that. So moved. Second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed, motion carries. Item number 8 is the resolution to transfer funds from the O&M fund to the debt service fund. And are there any questions from the board on that one?
And this just allows us to pay those, all debts that's paid have to be paid out of the debt service fund, so this just allows us to pay the money that gets levied for property taxes on those lease purchases we talked about to pay for those leases, so we have to sweep it into debt service for it to be legal with the school code.
Gotcha. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item number 9 is the renewal of property and liability insurance and workers' compensation. And Mrs. Bush, do you want to?
I sure will. I sure will.
Briefly?
Yes, so our overall increase of all of our policies that cover the board and district, 5.5% increase. We did have a decrease in our work comp, which we expect will be much greater next year. We have some big claims that'll be rolling off, and knock on wood, assuming we don't have any new big claims come on, we should see a decrease. So we did also have an increase. Part of our increase in our property and liability was due to everything being reassessed. You know, if we're going to, replacement value of buildings, everything costs more right now. If we are adequately insured, the cost of our buildings, in case there's, we have some kind of, God forbid, a tornado or a storm, that we're covered, appropriately, so if we have to replace those buildings. So that's gone up. We expected to see that. Had some conversations with Don Ewell looking at next year, and we have to give 120 days notice to WICSID, ISDA, if we want to look to quote something else. So we're talking about doing that for next year, getting that in ahead of time, and then not necessarily going out to bid, but just saying, having Don, he has some options, always has options. Looking at that next year and saying, can you do better in another pool or another place for next year? But I will say that the ISDA, with our big claim on our auditorium, a lot of companies would have dropped us with a $3+ million claim. They have kept us, kept us insured, and that's been a great thing. But that doesn't mean we have to stay there forever. If we have an option next year when our work comp falls off to do something, that looks better for the district. So.
How often does our agent come out and look at the buildings to make sure that we're properly insured?
They typically do an annual. We have, there's a gentleman that works for ISDA, Charles, I can't remember his last name, that comes out and walks through and is it Spade? Spade, yeah, looks at our buildings, the, safety issues, and then they, it's a formula they put into their little calculators, how many square footage, feet do you have any new additions, and, but they do come physically look at our buildings every
At
year.
least annually.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the board? I'll entertain a motion to approve the insurance.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Mrs. Hyde?
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mrs. Evaldi?
Yes.
Mr. Beavers?
Yes.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes, motion carries. Item number 10 is the approval of a tuition-free student, and that is Mariana, that was close.
You were close.
Nelson looks like she'll be a freshman,
Correct.
and I'll entertain a motion to approve that tuition-free student. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next item is the Consolidated District Plan. This is a yearly requirement through the ISBE, and the district has already submitted that. I'll entertain a motion to approve it. Second?
Second.
Mrs. Hines, this is a roll call.
Mr. Beavers?
Yes.
Mrs. Evaldi?
Yes.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes, motion carries. Next item is an interagency cooperative agreement with the Migrant Education Head Start. Again, this is an annual agreement. If there's no questions from the board, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next item is the approval of the General John A. Logan generator proposal, which is number 2 in your packet. Are there questions from the board?
Seems pretty affordable. Does that include installation and everything?
That's everything. FERC Electric providing everything, subbing out the gas contractor for the natural gas.
Natural gas? Gas is cheap, in my opinion.
Any other questions?
Motion to approve?
Second,
Second.
Mrs. Hines?
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mrs. Evaldi?
Yes.
Mr. Beamers?
Yes.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes, motion carries. And the last item is the renewal of our IHSA membership for the 2022-2023 school year. I'll entertain a motion to approve that. And a
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have a need to go into closed session.
Oh, they both kill me.
That's you.
Make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to Section 2 of the Open Meetings Act 5, Illinois compiled statutes 120/2C to review the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the district, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee to determine its validity. And 2, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees.
In a second.
Do we need to add the language from the amended earlier?
It's under
No,
one.
it's under
It's
employment.
the same, it's, okay.
It's, yeah, we added that for F4.
Same, yeah, okay. Sorry.
Second.
Mr. Beamers?
Yes.
Mrs. Evaldi?
Yes.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy? You're killing me.
Motion carried.